Welcome to another episode, everyone. Diddy and Suge Knight charged with Tupac Amaru Shakur's murder. This is breaking. This is the headline. It says here, Diddy and Suge Knight charged for Tupac's death after TMZ paid witness for footage. After TMZ paid a witness for some footage. Now, I don't know that these individuals have been charged. I think that this is clickbait. That this individual would even say something like this. Nevertheless, some very revealing information here from the so-called Tupac files. They were keeping files on his death and who may have been responsible. And they're even pointing the finger at Snoop Dogg. Let's get into it.
He's charged in one of the most notorious cold case in modern American history, and this morning, the man known as Keefe D is breaking his silence from behind bars. For nearly 30 years ago, became one of the nation's most notorious unsolved.
Hey, Keefe, Metro Police, come over here.
Then in 2023, a breakthrough when prosecutors charged this man with ordering the hit, the only person arrested for Shakur's, who now tells ABC News authorities have the wrong man.
I'm innocent.
The Las Vegas police finally released the Tupac files proving who did the crime against him, revealing that his friends were involved. Fan reactions read, "The new Tupac files are making me question everything. Why is there evidence of Snoop Dogg knowing Tupac was going to be targeted, Suge Knight wanting Tupac gone so then he couldn't leave the record label, and even Diddy paying for the hit? He needed new friends," which is exactly what Tupac's own father said during an interview, reading, quote, "Tupac's biological father says if he would have been a better father, Tupac still would have been alive today. He never would have trusted Suge Knight. But because he wasn't there, he looked at Suge Knight like a father figure, saying Suge stole all of his money."
With Suge Knight.
Right.
You know, this motherfucker, I feel so bad. I gotta live the rest of my life realizing that maybe if I was a better father, he might not have gotten that situation. He might have had enough wisdom to know that this motherfucker is nothing but a scoundrel. But he looked up to him like a father. Then to find out a year, 8 months later, that he's cheating him out of all of his money. That's the final betrayal.
Due to this, the news wrote, the reinvestigation of
Yeah, and you betrayed him from the beginning. As you said, as you admitted to, but you don't get any credit for admitting the fact that had you been a better father, perhaps Tupac would not have been in that predicament. I should say, I should issue a disclaimer and say that Tupac is indeed my favorite rapper and one of my favorite people of all time. And his death still bothers me to this day. Been nearly 30 years. It'd be 30 years in September of this year. And, it's very, many of us know what happened. If you're from the streets, as I am, you know what happened with this situation. But there have been many conspiracy theories, of course, as to what happened with Tupac Shakur and who killed him and why. But Keefe D has admitted this. They have tapes, which we're about to play for you now, where he had this proffer and he said everything that happened on the night of Tupac's killing, snitch on himself. This self-snitching has been going on with the metadata and the metaverse.
Tupac's passing is revealing new names and evidence of those involved. One new name brought up is Suge Knight. Suge's name is mentioned a lot in these new Tupac files. Police highlighted from day one, Suge's side of the story has been very odd. Because why did Tupac not have any security on the night that he passed when Suge Knight's job was to literally keep Tupac secure?
First of all, you seen what happened. Suge understands who he's dealing with. Or what that just happened with, right?
Yeah.
I would have off the top shut my artist down. And if I wouldn't have shut him down, I would have moved him in a way to where could nobody get to him. Sure, you know what you doing, don't do. Like, it ain't no security on him.
But also on the night Tupac passed, Suge Knight said, quote, "When I left that hospital, me and Tupac were laughing and joking. I don't see how someone can turn from doing so well to doing bad."
I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody can turn from doing well to doing bad.
So you seriously think that he might still be alive?
I'm gonna tell you this, Pac, you never know.
But what's very weird about it is Tupac was supposedly in a very deep sleep when arriving to the hospital. So how in the world would he and Suge be laughing if Tupac was unconscious? However, when you read through Diddy's file in the Tupac files, it connects the entire story and you figure out why Suge Knight lied. The feds believe Diddy planned the entire crime, then was able to convince Tupac's own friends to confuse the truth to the media, and it worked out perfectly. As the case took 3 decades to solve, what the investigators were able to find in 2026 is something you wouldn't even believe. It begins with the announcement of 50 Cent says that it's not over. More unreleased Diddy footage that didn't make his Netflix documentary is now coming to YouTube, including footage about how Diddy started a family with Tupac's ex-girlfriend. Diddy has a daughter named Chance Combs with a girl named Sarah Chapman in 2026. She famously dated Tupac in 1995, revealing Diddy wanted Tupac gone because he wanted to be Tupac.
Tupac was a shining example of everything that Diddy wanted to be, and he was that naturally. He was charismatic, he was sought after, desired, he was very well liked and a naturally likable person. He was charming, he actually had intrinsic talent, he was a star. He was what Diddy tried to force his way into becoming. Diddy, through force, through manipulation, through fear-mongering, tried to become loved and adored and liked, but all he could manage is like a twisted clone of that he was able to garner through fear. But back to my original point, he thought he triumphed over Tupac by when actually what he did was make Tupac immortal. And by Diddy continuing to live and earn more wealth and in his mind earn more adoration, he thought he triumphed. He thought he won overall.
Because this is where the story gets very strange. In the Tupac files, it states, on November 18th, 1995, Tupac was photographed with Sean Diddy Combs' baby mama, Sarah Chapman. 10 years later, Diddy described Sarah as being the one. She was his dream girl, so when Tupac was dating her first in 1995, Diddy didn't like it. This resulted in his first attempt at getting Tupac, which was swept under the rug by police.
I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I could say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows. So every time he say it didn't happen, or that's the only thing that makes this become an issue to everybody. I was acting. Who gets shot 5 times in acts? Oh, I didn't get shot 5 times in their vision. I only got shot once because they found the bug. The police found him, but now they the cops. Now they doing detective work.
With his first attempt being a failure, Diddy would then try again. In the Diddy trial, it would be announced, former LAPD cop claims Diddy had Tupac dealt with for $1 million. Suge retaliated by having Biggie dealt with, as Diddy hired a man named Keefe D to get Tupac in Las Vegas. Then, after 20 years of walking free, when the police finally arrested Keefe D, he did an interrogation, but he didn't know that he was being recorded, and he would literally confess to Diddy being the lead man of the crime.
On all 4 of those occasions, there's San Diego, Anaheim, Irvine, and Vegas. Which ones do you actually talk to Puffy at?
Every one.
Every one of them. Which of those 4 is it when you talk to him about Tupac?
It was really about both of them. Either one of them. It was
Tupac and Suge, you mean?
Yeah.
With investigators knowing Diddy was now the lead man of the crime, they would look back at old Diddy interviews.
And this is the problem with some of what Keefe D is saying. First of all, you know, he's snitching. He's snitching on Puff Daddy, saying that he paid him for this murder. But the discrepancy comes in with many people, of course, because on the one hand, they're saying that Orlando Anderson took this individual's gold necklace or his chain, this death row chain, and then Tupac and Suge spotted him in the MGM in the casino or whatever, and then they attacked him. We all have seen that footage. Then on the other hand, they attacked him over the chain. On the other hand, they're saying they attacked him and were already planning on killing him because P.Diddy gave them $1 million to do so. Which one is it? Now, of course, some are saying, well, he paid him $1 million, and then that was their opportunity to do it. Once they saw, once Tupac attacked Orlando Anderson, That was their excuse to do it. They didn't need an excuse. They had $1 million already as their excuse. I'm not sure. Some of this is confusing, and it's confusing for many of Tupac's fans, and they still want answers 30 years later as to exactly what happened with Tupac Shakur and how he died and why did he die, who exactly was behind his death. Apparently, Keefe D has told multiple stories. Nevertheless, his stories are powerful enough to have went and got himself arrested for the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Where Tupac's name would be brought up to see his facial expression. They were able to find one very awkward interview on The Breakfast Club.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Due to this, during the Diddy trial, he would be questioned about his involvement. The news read, Diddy faces questions about his alleged role in Tupac's passing after being mentioned 77 times in a new legal filing, where even Keefe D, the hired hitman of the crime, said everything was Diddy's wish and that it was a lot easier than he thought it would be, which is exactly why a writer named Jeff Pearlman, who wrote a Tupac biography, claims that Tupac wasn't even a tough guy. He portrayed to be and was just playing a role. He said, quote, he couldn't fight and he didn't even know how to use a firearm.
Because he died because all these guys sold him this lifestyle idea, but he wasn't it. He couldn't fight. He had no athleticism. He didn't know how to shoot. He wasn't that guy, but he started to believe it.
He method acted it.
100% method acted it.
However, this is where the Tupac files get very strange. A detective wrote, Detective Russell Poole suspected that Suge Knight arranged...
I don't know about that. There's plenty of evidence to the contrary. There's plenty of evidence that Tupac was indeed a solid individual, a soldier, a man, and a stand-up man. There are rumors about him, about this and that in prison, and about the charges that led him to prison, and other instances where people have questioned his bravado. But for the most part, his fans certainly do not question his bravado, and they do not believe that it was all an act. Yes, he went to LA and got caught up in the gang culture, and he shouldn't have, because this gang culture has taken many lives of black men, individuals who were not cut out for the culture, who are not cut out to be gang members, and they should not be cut out for this, because this life leads to nothing but death and destruction. And you are not less than a man if you do not involve yourself in such a genocidal culture. Nevertheless, Tupac did get involved in this culture, but by all accounts, he was indeed a stand-up individual, imperfect like all of us are, but a stand-up individual. Yes, perhaps I am defending him again. He is my favorite. Rest in peace, man. Still hurts me today.
Tupac's passing before he could exit the label. Then he framed the rival Crips to throw off investigators, raising a very important question of who is a famous Crip that Suge Knight would do this to. This would be none other than Snoop Dogg. The feds would then investigate Snoop Dogg, and here's what they found. They noted in the files there's an interview where Snoop Dogg revealed he was supposed to be in the BMW with Tupac on the night that he passed.
With Tupac, though, in regards to Tupac, I heard a story. Did you give him different advice that night on where to go?
I didn't give him no advice.
Right.
We wasn't seeing eye to eye.
Right.
So
saying during the Tyson.
Yeah, this incident that I'm explaining to you right now was the day before that.
Okay.
So when they got to Vegas, they went their way, I went back. I mean, when we got to LA,
where Snoop Dogg mentions that he was supposed to be in the BMW, but after last minute changes, he suddenly didn't go. This was likely due to Snoop, Tupac, and Suge Knight having an altercation only a few days prior.
The last time me and Tupac was on the same page, and I did an interview with Angie Martinez, and she asked me, how did I feel about Puffy and Biggie? And I told her that I like their music and I want to do music with them. Bro didn't like that, Tupac didn't like that, so we had a misunderstanding. So on the flight back to LA, I didn't feel comfortable around them for what they had did, as far as I didn't let my security ride with me. So to protect myself and to, prevent from happening, I slept under a blanket with the knife and the fork just in case something was to go wrong, but it didn't.
Suge Knight did such a good job at framing.
Hey, I didn't know that. I hadn't seen that part, that interview with Snoop Dogg. So the altercation was so serious, according to Snoop Dogg, at least in his mind, in his heart, in his soul, the falling out that he had with Tupac was so serious that he slept with weapons. And that he separated himself from them on the flight back and then slept with weapons. And again, this is all the day before Tupac's death. Man, Tupac had so many people around him and so many snakes around him. He didn't really have any true friends around him, bro, that truly had his back. He should indeed have had security with him at all times. I don't believe this conspiracy theory that Suge Knight was involved. I mean, I don't know that he didn't want Tupac out of the way, but I don't believe that he was involved that day, that night, in that shooting, because he was right there in the car with him, and that never sat well with me. I would never believe that he would pay someone or okay someone to delete Tupac and do it while I'm in the car with him. And you shoot from across the street. Don't walk up on the car right up on Tupac. You make sure you don't hit me. No, you shoot from across the street where I'm at first. I'm in the driver's side. So you shooting through the driver's side first. You shoot through the car. Just make sure you miss me and get Tupac. No way. So I don't believe that he was involved that night in that shooting because his life was in danger as well during that shooting. Nevertheless, there are a lot of people that were around Tupac that did not truly have his back. He was in the wrong environment, in the wrong situation, and he didn't have his crew with him. If you're not born and raised in the culture in LA, the culture will eventually turn on you. You have to understand the culture fully in order to be involved in it, or it can and will take your life. That's just the way that it is. But hearing Snoop Doggy Dogg say that he slept with weapons because of the altercation that he had with Tupac puts me at an unease.
Snoop Dogg for having involvement. That one viral reaction even read, "Is anyone gonna mention how Snoop Dogg could have stopped Tupac from passing? These new files coming out is upsetting knowing Tupac should still be alive." Where many believe 2 decades ago when Snoop Dogg was heavily tapped into the streets, he received a tip that Tupac was gonna be targeted on the night that he passed, so he avoided on getting in the BMW as stated in the interview earlier. The feds even then found an interview where Snoop claimed 2 days before he passed he felt like Tupac hated him.
I say a week before he died, we was best of friends. 2 days before he died, I don't think he liked me.
Why?
Because we was in New York, and it happened. New York, they shot at me and did all kind of shit to me, like just the worst you could think of, and I forgave him. And when did an interview and was asked, how do I feel about Puffy and Biggie? And I was like, I like them. I want to do some music with them. And that just rubbed Cuz the wrong way, like tried to kill me, out at you, and you talking about you want to do a song with it. I wasn't thinking about his emotions. I was thinking about the way I felt at the time. I wasn't into no controversy. I liked his music. They was our friends. We was all friends at one point. This video footage of all of us hanging out.
With 3 big names in the rap industry now.
Good for you. Many people are friends at one point. But as we can see, Tupac was indeed stomped down. He got upset with his friend, Snoop Dogg, for what he felt like was a betrayal. Going on this radio show, whatever, talking about you want to do music with these individuals after they didn't try to kill me. So the beef was real with Tupac, with Puffy and Biggie, who Snoop alluded to wanting to do music with. The beef was real with him. He said, man, they shot you, and tried to kill me. And you don't hear talking about you want to do music with them? So he wasn't ready to squash any beef. And it wasn't just content. It wasn't just music beef. He was serious about the beef, was Tupac. Apparently, he was so serious that he got so angry with Snoop Dogg that Snoop Dogg had to sleep with weapons that night. At the falling out with Tupac over him making the comments that he wants to do music with these individuals. After they had this beef going, Snoop said he doesn't want any problems, didn't want any controversy. I get it. But Pac said, no, we beefing with these dudes and it's real. It's up.
Having a connection to the passing of Tupac, it's important to truly understand the evidence file where they found new evidence about what exactly happened to Tupac on the night that he passed. They wrote, on September 7th, 1996, Tupac was in Las Vegas with the head of his record label, Suge Knight. The two were off to the MGM Grand to watch a Mike Tyson match, as after it was over, they spotted an op in the lobby of the hotel.
Suge Knight and their entourage went to the Mike Tyson at the MGM Grand. Keefe D and his nephew, Orlando Lane Anderson, and two of their friends were also there. Keefe D told LAPD Detective Greg Kading more than a decade ago, in a proffer that couldn't be used against him, the shooting was retaliation after Tupac jumped Orlando and beat him up at the casino. Surveillance cameras recorded the fight. Tupac was angry that Lane had stolen his necklace years prior in Compton. Tupac, Suge Knight, and the entourage left the casino quickly.
Security would break up the altercation between Suge, Tupac, and the ops, resulting in Tupac and Suge going back to their hotel to change their clothes before heading off to a club at around 11 p.m. Once exiting their hotel, the two would then head into their BMW and drive down to a club owned by Suge Knight. But things...
Yeah, man. And that's really haunting footage of Tupac attacking Orlando Anderson. You know, the rules are simple. The gang rules are certainly simple. In the gang culture, if you are not a gang member, a real gang member, you cannot put your hands on one. If you do, there's a green light on you from that gang member and his friends, his homeboys, his gang. How dare you? And you're not of the culture. That's how it is. That's how it goes. Tupac, not really being a gang member, having ties to the Bloods or whatever, but not being a real gang member from LA and beating on, kicking on, stomping on a real gang member is bad news.
Would go down right in the middle of the street where Tupac and Suge would be listening to very loud music, shouting to women on the street, and causing a major scene.
Knew about Tupac's concert at the Club 662. Members, including Orlando and Keefe D, jumped in their white Cadillac and started cruising the strip looking for the offender. Before long, they finally spotted Tupac's caravan. At the intersection of East Flamingo Boulevard and Koval Lane, the white Cadillac pulled alongside the black BMW with Suge on the driver and Tupac on the passenger seats. The back window of the Cadillac rolled twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh.
The aftermath of the incident was a mystery for 3 decades. The police would then start investigating a very odd interview by a man named Keefe D on DJ Vlad's show. During an interview, he literally detailed the moments of finding Tupac, pulling up on him, and doing the crime.
And Bubble Up was the driver, and Baby Lane and Freaky were in the back seat.
We was just all in the car together. Just say that.
This was the white Cadillac.
Yeah.
So you guys are driving around, and then you hear these.
This is bananas. This is wild work. This is nasty work. This here, of course, is Keefe D, the OG from Southside Compton Crip, on Vlad TV, exposing what happened the night Tupac Shakur was unalived. He says that it was his nephew, Baby Lane, who also passed away a couple of years later at the Tupac's murder. He was killed, was Orlando Anderson. And this is his uncle here, Keefe D, not only said that he was involved, that he pulled the trigger, Baby Lane, but also is talking about other individuals that were in the car and saying their names. Perhaps they don't want to be. Your nephew is already dead now, Baby Lane, at the time of this interview. So you can't snitch on a dead man. But perhaps the other individuals do not want their names out there. And he's still there putting it. And then he had this proffer. Keefe D, this individual here, where, as we heard him speaking with the police department, explaining to them some of the same things he's saying here on Vlad TV as to what transpired that night. They offered him a so-called proffer, meaning that they won't prosecute him and he can, tell them everything that he knows. Nevertheless, Keefe D did not understand that the proffer was between him and the police. A proffer means that you can divulge all that you know about this case with us, and you cannot be charged. Nevertheless, if you go and divulge this information and talk about the case with someone else about what you did and how it went down, we can charge you and the other parties involved. Apparently, this did not digest well with Keefe D. He did not absorb the law, and he went around making a media campaign, admitting to being in the car on the night Tupac Shakur was killed. What he says was by his nephew, Orlando Anderson, who pulled the trigger. He explains in detail how they pulled up, where exactly Orlando Anderson was seated, what kind of gun he had, how he shot, etc. in this interview and other interviews that he's done, because he had this proffer where he believed that him saying this in the media, on social media, in these interviews and podcasts, would not be held against him, could not be held against him, because he had a proffer, he had a deal with the police. But again, not understanding that the proffer indeed means that you can have these conversations with the police, not with Vlad TV and other social media outlets, without the police using it against you. And they turned on him after offering him this proffer and immunity. After he went around snitching on everyone and himself, they went on, as we see earlier, and arrested him. And he's still in Las Vegas County Jail or something, fighting for his life as it relates to the Tupac murder investigation.
These girls say, Tupac, Tupac.
Got to the light. He was going to go drink. And he happened to be hanging out the window. He's hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next? You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat.
He would even further explain that it happened so fast because Tupac was reaching for his firearm when he passed.
You said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a...
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually...
No, once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
So someone from your car...
That's what happened.
...started at Tupac and Suge.
It seemed as if Tupac already knew something was about to go down and he was trying to prepare for it, but sadly he wasn't fast enough. But Keefe D revealing these details on a cold case was something nobody was really believing. So he would end up releasing his
Tupac shouldn't have been reaching. He should not have had to have reached for anything. First of all, should already had a weapon ready and present right there on his lap, in his hands, in his arms, ready to go. First of all, not in your waistband, not in the glove department, right here, finger on the trigger as this dude is driving, looking around alertly and ready to let this thing off because you just stomped someone out. You just beat on someone and stomped them out. So there's tension there. There's a chance that these individuals can come back and retaliate. And then more than that, he should have had proper security. Should have been cars in front of it. Him and Suge Knight were the lead car. How are you in the front? Supposed to have people protecting you. See how Jeff Fort used to walk around? Soldiers protecting you, man. I mean, cars in front of you, on the side of you with choppers out. Any car come up about to get Swiss cheese. Any car come up looking suspicious about to get Swiss cheese because this dude ain't going nowhere. Hell, you can kill us, but you can't kill him. We can't let him die. He's everything. He's all that we got. He dies, the whole movement dies, the whole death row died. No. He should have been more. Now, of course, that's hindsight. Hindsight is 2020. We can all look back on it and say, this should have happened, that should have happened, this should not have happened, this should have never happened. We can do that with every situation, with every case. What happened with Malcolm X shouldn't have happened. He should have had security. President Kennedy, for that matter. You know, they shot Ronald Reagan. I mean, people trying to get to you, they'll find a way to get to you. But he still should have had much more better security on him, because having proper security has also saved many people's lives.
Never before seen police interrogation that happened on the night of the crime to convince everyone.
Lane starts. You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
in the back seat or something.
Yeah. What do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen him going Suge head. I thought he was.
So Orlando across Dre.
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window.
Raising a very important question of why would he even do this? This put Keefe D back on the police's radar. So they investigated him again, and they even found his reaction to Tupac passing, showing his true emotion.
Yeah, I hate that happened, dog. I really do, man. Cause it took a lot of people's lives, dude. Hate that happen. Promise to God. I feel they should, that was wrong, man. It was just purely wrong. You know what I'm saying? I wish it had never happened. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion on it. It never happened, dude.
However, if you thought things weren't weird enough, there was a section in the Tupac files of evidence proving that he might still be alive, and let me explain. There's an interview revealing Tupac was an industry plant with a job of stopping the beef between the red and blue street teams, but when he couldn't get the job done, he suddenly passed.
Well, it turns out when I talked to Tupac's longtime mentor, political mentor, former Black Panther Chokwe Lumumba, who was his first business manager, he's told me, I basically asked, well, was Tupac only pretending to be in order to appeal to gangs and politicize them? And he said yes. And that was part of his thug life agenda that he came up with his imprisoned stepfather, Mutulu Shakur. And so Tupac was just using that in order to get the and the leaders to call peace truces, first in Los Angeles, then throughout California, and then throughout the country. And that was why he was pretending to be this type. And really, he was just an intellectual prodigy.
This could make sense as to why Snoop didn't want to be near him in Las Vegas on that night, but this is where it gets even weirder, because in a 2010 interview with a rapper named Tretch, he revealed him and Tupac were best friends back in the day. They even worked on a few albums together, but here's where it gets interesting. After Tretch's interview, the cameraman forgot to stop recording, and he placed his camera onto the ground. You can hear the interviewer asking him about Tupac, to which Tretch responds, "Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba."
So if you ain't ready for it, get on the sidewalk.
One last question. Nobody knows. Y'all good? Yeah, we good. Thanks a lot, man. We good.
Last time I saw him, he was in church.
But then only 3 weeks later, a video would be released onto a news website showing a video of Tupac supposedly chilling in a parking lot inside of Cuba. But comment down below what you think happened to Tupac. I'm gonna read the.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. Let me know what you think in the comments. I used to think that Tupac was still alive. I remember being in prison in 1997, so a year after Pac's death, arguing. Me and my young homie was over there working out on the pull-up bars. Somehow Tupac came up and we began to argue. And I'm telling him, man, Pac is still alive, bro. They caught his mother getting off the plane or getting on the plane with a suitcase full of money to take to her son, which of course now that I'm older and all that makes no sense. Why would she just get caught with there's no other way to get the money over there. It's just, we were all holding on to hope in the same way that people believe that Elvis Presley was still alive for many years and others who they just don't want to let go. And then the young homie picked up a rock as we were over there on the pull-up bars. He said, bro, you see this rock? You see this rock? I said, yeah, I see the rock. He said, Tupac is as dead as this rock, bro. He, basically threw the rock, bro. He's dead, bro. That's on everything. That's on the hood. He's dead, bro. He's as dead as that rock. For some reason, this infuriated me. I'm like, bro, man, you tripping. He's not dead, bro. You lost your mind. You hate. Ooh, we about to fight. Because he's saying Pac is dead. I didn't want to believe it. I'm dead serious. Hell, it took me a long time to believe it. I'm talking about just recently, a few years ago or something, I began to believe that Pac is really dead. Took me 20-something years to believe that. I'm not lying. Just now really coming to the conclusion. You know what? He really died on that day. It's like being emotional all over again because this whole time, I wasn't believing it. And when it really set in, because there's no way, it's been 30 years now. He would have made an appearance by now somehow. Pac can't stay quiet for 30 years. He's gone, y'all. It's unfortunate, man. Rest in peace to my boy. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. What happened to Pac? There's a lot there. They have these so-called Tupac files, as we just heard, where they've been keeping notes. P.Diddy is mentioned in there over 77 times in the P.Diddy, the Tupac files. Suge Knight is mentioned in there. And Snoop Dogg, they're, investigating his interviews and all of this. And Snoop Dogg was sleeping with weapons. But I'm not going to put this on the title for this video. Diddy and Suge Knight charged for Tupac's death after TMZ paid witness for footage. This is just an outright lie. They have not been charged. Why would he say that? Diddy, that's what caught my eye. I guess it works. It's clickbait. Diddy and Suge Knight charged. Not with a question mark. Not are they going to be charged or they should be charged or they're going to be charged. Or the investigation is heating up on Diddy and Suge Knight. No, they've been charged. Man, why you say that? They ain't been charged. Will they be? I don't know. They have Keefe D in custody. We'll see. I mean, so many conspiracy theories again as to what happened. Suge didn't want him on the record label. It was over the Death Row chain. It was over Puff Daddy, P.Diddy giving $1 million to Keefe D. Which one is it? It cannot be all of those things. Everyone has their own opinion as to what happened. Whatever happened, man, Tupac is gone and he's missed. Rest in peace. Stay safe and stay free, people.